Hello, hello, everyone, and a special hello to all the Gunners out there because I'm pretty sure they are celebrating after that unreal result. Janusz, for the first time in 8 years, since 2015, has Arsenal been able to beat Manchester City in the Premier League. It's crazy to think when you look at the stats there, but that is exactly how dominant Pep Guardiola's men have been when they go up against Mikel Arteta and the Gunners. But today, all of that ended, Janusz. Arsenal clinching just a 1-0 win over the Citizens. Martinelli with a very, very special goal, and one that I think he's going to remember for a long, long time now. Plenty to talk about in terms of specific instances, especially in the first half. We'll get to those a little later, Janusz. But overall, we wanted a blockbuster game between these two teams. Did we get that?
No, not really. But I mean, I don't think Arsenal in particular will care. A brilliant one from them, and very, very important. First half was captivating because it was tactical, and we'll get to the tactics in a second. Second one was outright boring, but that's what happens in games like these, and you just had a feeling that maybe it's the day for Arsenal, and it was. And I will say it was well deserved. Not that they created tons of chances, because they didn't. Neither did Manchester City, other than the first 4 minutes when Ake and Alvarez had chances. But I think it shows that Arsenal can match Manchester City. They match them physically, which is very important. They match them tactically, and really, I mean, Arteta really, has been matching Pep Guardiola tactically for a while, but within the game, he did as well. And the psychological part that you've mentioned is, I don't know how much money you can put on that. You can't buy that, because now they finally beaten them in the Premier League, as you've mentioned, and Mikel Arteta and his team have beaten every Premier League team, because that was the only one standing. So it's absolutely brilliant for Arsenal, because you can take so much of it going forward. I've mentioned tactics, I mentioned physicality, but that mentality, knowing that you can do it, that you've done it. They always knew that they can do it, but you have to prove it to yourself. So in terms of that progress that we talk about, or Mikel Arteta talks about, I mean, this is an incredible 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you want to talk tactics, as we were definitely talking, we were wondering just a few days ago how Mikel Arteta was going to line up to go up against this Manchester City, considering it was looking doubtful that Bukayo Saka, who has been their star boy there in North London for some time now, we knew that he was a doubt for this one. And then today we saw that they would have to defend for themselves without him. But still, as we know, Martinelli kind of took the spotlight today. But overall, what did you make of Mikel Arteta's tactics in this one, and how they did without Bukayo Saka?
Well, and Martinelli, I think, they did the best thing they could. They had to manage Manchester City at first, because you never know who they're going to have. I mean, Rodri obviously missing today. You can understand why he's so important, right? But I don't think that Mikel Arteta did anything special in this game. What I will say here is that, and I go to church of Pep Guardiola. This was terrible management from Pep Guardiola. Absolutely terrible in my opinion, because he catered to Arsenal. And for what reason? I do not understand the reason. I mean, here you have Arsenal. You're always going to know it's tough without Martinelli to start, right? And without Bukayo Saka. And yet, you play Gvardiol in a wide position and Walker, and on top of that, you don't allow them to go forward. Well, Gvardiol is not going to go forward in any specific way. That's not his position. That's not his strength. Walker is, but they were kept back somehow, because all the idea was in the center of the pitch. Bernardo Silva obviously playing deeper, Foden being kind of pushed inside, Alvarez, right? There was a battle of the mid. Why? I mean, this is Manchester City, right? And you go in against Arsenal team without two of their key players and the biggest strengths they have. I could understand with Saka and Martinelli, you may keep the fullbacks back a little bit, because obviously they're quality. But in a game like this, why would you do it? It's unthinkable to me, because not only that you didn't push the fullbacks forward, in particular Walker, but then Alvarez and Erling Haaland were non-existent, because how could they be? The biggest strength of Manchester City is their width. There are no crosses to Haaland whatsoever. I didn't count them, but there was nothing specific there. So I just think that in terms of the tactics, I think Pep Guardiola shot himself in the foot. And when I honestly look at that, it was a massive mismanagement of the strength that Manchester City are. Just
Mhm. Simple as that. Definitely not often that we do question Pep. Still more instances in the game that I want to pick your brain about, but at the moment, let's get some instant reaction from North London. Our very own Mark Ogden, I believe, is ready to join us right now. He has been at the Emirates. Augie, I think I'm trying to hear if you're outside or inside. I think that you obviously had to go outside because before we get into the specifics of the game, how rocking is North London and the Emirates right now at that full-time whistle as well?
They have turned the music off just to let me speak, which is good of them. But no, listen, it was it felt like a result which they were desperate to get, in the sense that beating Man City, they've lost the last 12 against Man City. This was a real psychological boost, and not only for the players but also for the fans. That there's that sense of belief that actually this year they can go and win the title, because last year Man City were just too good for Arsenal. They beat them twice quite convincingly, and I think until you beat the best team, you can't really back your own prospects of winning the league. Now they've done that. They've beaten the best team. They've beaten them, despite the fact that they should have had 10 men for 50 minutes, Man City, they didn't. They overcome that adversity during the game. They overcome the adversity of not having Bukayo Saka. So this is a massive result for Arsenal. You can feel it. It was a bit similar when they beat Man United earlier this season. Obviously, not the same kind of caliber of opponent, but that kind of late win, that belief that they can go all the way and get a late result and beat the big teams. And they've done that now. So there's only two teams that are unbeaten now in the Premier League this season. That's Arsenal and Tottenham. So that's going to be an interesting battle for the rest of the season.